House Committee on Natural Resources and Tourism will come to order. Would the clerk please take the attendance?
Chair Martin.
Here.
Representative St. Germain.
Here.
Vanderwall.
Present.
Outman.
Here.
Hoadley.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Preston.
Here.
Bonak.
Here.
Fairbairn.
Here.
Wirtz.
Here.
McFall.
Here.
Scott.
Present.
Weiss. Arbit. Foreman. Myers-Phillips. Wooden.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you do have a quorum.
Thank you. Vice Chair McFall makes a motion to approve the minutes of our previous meeting. The minutes are approved by unanimous consent. We're going to now take up House Bill 4855, sponsored by Representative Prestin, which allows for the possession of a pistol by a bow hunter. Representative Prestin. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Members of the committee, thank you. This legislation is straightforward. It permits bow hunters to carry a sidearm for personal protection while hunting. Michigan law generally allows legal gun owners to openly carry firearms. However, many are unaware that the Natural Resources and Environmental Protection Act prohibits carrying weapons in areas frequented by wild animals, unless the weapon is used for hunting under a valid license or the individual holds a concealed pistol license, a CPL, which is required for both concealed and open carry in these areas. This creates two significant issues. One, a lack of public awareness, as many hunters and even the general public are unaware of this restriction. And two, the unnecessary burden the law places due to obstacles on law-abiding gun owners seeking to enjoy their time in Michigan woods. The issue is particularly acute for bow hunters. Unlike firearm hunters, who can use their hunting weapon for self-defense against predators like bears, wolves, and the cougars, bow hunters face significant challenges defending themselves. This bill addresses that disparity by allowing bow hunters to open carry a sidearm for personal protection without requiring a CPL. Hunters take their time in the woods seriously, often using their limited PTO for hunting season. Requiring a CPL to carry a sidearm imposes financial and time burdens. Obtaining a CPL costs at least $200, including class fees and paperwork, and requires taking at least one full day off of work for the course. I'd like to note here that typically CPL training lacks wildlife-specific components, adding no relevant value for hunters that are already trained in our legally required hunter safety courses. The additional requirement of a CPL forces hunters to choose between entering the woods without adequate protection or navigating a costly and time-consuming process. For context, Michigan allows open carry in public spaces like streets, sidewalks, retail stores, restaurants, yet it is restricted in the one place where everyone would expect to encounter open carry a firearm, which is the woods during hunting season. This bill seeks to align state law by allowing law-abiding gun-owning hunters to carry sidearms for personal protection in the wilderness. The rising predator populations in Michigan, and especially in the Upper Peninsula, have led to increased human-wildlife interactions. While not every encounter results in an attack, many are unsettling, even for the most seasoned outdoorsmen. You've received written testimony, which I urge you to read, from hunters in the Upper Peninsula detailing their personal experiences with wildlife encounters in the woods. These stories in our networks on Facebook and throughout exchanges, the amount of interactions that go on up there is troubling, to say the least. Entered into the committee record is written testimony from two UP hunters, Adam Sherman of Delta County, that's just north of where I live, and Joe Hansen of Marquette County. Both of these men are experienced hunters, and their interactions with predator species have left them cautious about their time in the woods. They have come across wolves, bears, and even cougar. While hunters across the state are familiar with bears, Michigan's bears can still be intimidating. In 2010, a bow hunter was attacked by a black bear with her 3 cubs. He escaped with his life, but it was a close call, and he required 40 stitches. In his written testimony, Joe Hansen describes how on opening day of archery season, he also came across a sow with her cubs before daybreak. She acted aggressively towards him. Fortunately, he was a licensed CPL holder, and he was able to get his pistol out before, if it became necessary. The bear charged him in the dark, only veering off and running away at the last second. Fortunately, he did not have to discharge his firearm, but it was important for him to have had that option. Joe got his CPL strictly for the defense in the woods. He's not a CPL holder. He has that license only for protection in the woods. These accounts highlight the need for this legislation to ensure hunter safety. CPLs are a great tool for people who want to conceal their firearms in day-to-day lives, but they are an unnecessary burden for someone who is looking to open carry for self-defense in the woods. You will hear directly from a couple more UP hunters today whose experiences further underscore the importance of this bill. I look forward to their testimony. I think you'll find it compelling, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have right now.
Thank you, Representative. Kind of a personal story, secondhand. A friend of mine I was stationed with in Fort Carson, Colorado, bow hunted for a grizzly up in Alaska. Of course, it dovetails into what our next presentation is. And the guide was required. They're required to have a guide, and of course the guide had a rifle. Grizzlies are nothing to mess with, obviously. But he had probably 8 knives tucked all around his body because he was unable to carry. And he said he wasn't going down without a fight, so I get it. So,
well, bears are the ones that have always concerned me the most, especially for the bow hunters, because that time of the year the cubs they're very active. It's the end of season, they're well fed, they're climbing trees, they're getting in trouble, and there's the number of times that a bow hunter has found himself between the cubs over his head and the sow at the bottom of the tree, and that's the worst place you want to be as a bow hunter, is between a sow and its cubs. Plenty of hunters have gotten ripped out of their tree stands or had to jump out of their tree stands just to save their life.
Representative Weiss.
Thank you, and thank you for this. Just a clarifying question. Do you know the reasoning why right now? Because if you're able to conceal carry in the woods, do you know why you're not currently allowed to do this under law?
Just because of the way the law stands right now, it's. I can tell you that the vast majority of hunters up in the UP that are bow hunting are probably not even aware that they're breaking the law.
But you have to. My understanding, and I might be reading this wrong, you have to have a concealed carry license to be able to open carry.
No, open carry is legal.
Okay, but you
if
can't.
you're a law-abiding gun owner,
Yes.
you can open carry in this state.
But not while you're bow hunting.
But not while you're bow hunting. Yes, that's the rub.
Okay. Are there any other types of hunt? I mean, I don't know. There are other types of hunting other than bow hunting and gun hunting. I don't know.
I know a couple of guys that hunt black bear with spears, but they're a different breed.
All right. Those are the ones that cover themselves with knives, probably.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
We'll go to the next testimony you mentioned.
All right. Thank you.
Up next on Zoom, we have Lois Rangat. Do we have somebody operating our Zoom? There we go. Hey, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, we got you. Go ahead.
Okay. So my name is Lois Rangat. I am 30 years old. I was born and raised in the UP. I have spent more than half of my life in the woods. I hunt from bear, turkey, deer to partridge and rabbit. I love the outdoors. Any chance I get, I'm out there. I've always felt most at home in the outdoors. I've had many run-ins with multiple different types of predators across the UP. I've hunted across the UP. But my view on the woods has changed after what has happened to me recently this year. It has actually changed my views of wanting to even continue bow hunting because of how unsafe I feel with how bad the wolves are getting in our area. And this incident, I've never had an incident like this before. I've had run-ins with them. They have followed me back to my side-by-side. They've circled my tree stand. I've never really been afraid of them until this incident. I had some friends up hunting from downstate, and I have a piece of permission property that I had been hunting for the youth hunt originally with my niece and nephew. I had moved my pop-up blind into the timber about 6 or 7 feet into the timber there. And I got in about 5 o'clock. About 20 minutes later, I caught movement off to my right, and immediately recognized it was a canine. And before I tried calling it in, thinking it was a coyote, I put the binoculars up to look, and it was a very large wolf. And immediately I just had an uneasy feeling, and I called my hubby and I had him start working his way up to me. He's only about 3 minutes away from me. We don't hunt very far from home. And he stayed on the phone with me the whole time. And we're talking, and all of a sudden I can hear something to my left. And I look to my left, and at 15 yards, there stood the wolf. He was looking right at me. I'm in like one of those tidely see-through blinds. So like I don't have my windows open, but I can see him. He can't see me. So I was nervous at this point. He was closer than I would have liked. So I just opened my window and I got my bow on him with my safety off. I hunt with a crossbow. And I just yelled at him, like, go away, get out of here. Well, that only seemed to upset him, and he dropped his head and his hackles stood on end. And that's when I reached for my quiver and grabbed a secondary arrow. So I had some sort of weapon in my hand to protect myself. Being in a ground blind, pop-up blind, there was nothing really stopping him from getting to me if he wanted to. So he skirted around the front of my blind at about 10, 15 yards and got off to my right side, where I could no longer see him to protect myself from him if I had to. And he was starting to cut me off from being able to get to the field, which would be where my hubby was coming from. So I got out of the back of the blind. I had my crossbow at my hip and my quiver in my other hand, and I just started walking backwards. And as I'm walking backwards, he starts following me. So I yelled at him again to go on get, and that's when he charged at me, and I whipped my quiver and my arrow at him, and I took off running out into the field. And when I looked behind me about 10 or 15 yards out into the field, I could see he stopped at the field edge, and he was looking across the field at my hubby's truck that was now racing across the field. But I knew in that situation that once I fired that arrow, I had no other way to protect myself if I missed. I didn't want to have to shoot it. I love wolves. They're beautiful, don't get me wrong. But that wolf went every bit of pound for pound for me. I'm 5'8", about 135 pounds, and this thing was just about as big as I was. And he was not afraid of me. He was kind of ticked off that I was there, and he wanted me out of there. It was a situation that I never really want to be in again. I've never felt so defenseless in my life. And I have had plenty of encounters with them before in the woods, but this situation was just one like no other. And it's really made me consider if I want to continue to bow hunt. And I love bow hunting. I love it more than hunting with rifle, but not being able to protect myself in that situation not only scared me because of myself, but I take my nieces and nephews hunting with me a lot. And it's a whole different situation when you are responsible for somebody else in the woods when you can't even protect yourself. So I posted my story on TikTok, and I wanted to share this with you guys just so you could kind of see what a lot of people are saying and about this law particular. It went viral almost immediately. I got over 30,000 views, and 95% of the people who commented on it said, screw the laws, carry anyway. I have never been one to break the rules. I love the outdoors. I don't necessarily agree with how the DNR does some things, but I'm not here to break the rules. I'm here to hunt and enjoy the outdoors as everybody else. So just having the right to be able to protect myself without or with a CPL, having gone through the process of getting my CPL, I'm actually in the process of acquiring that right now. But like what was said earlier, it's not only time consuming. I had to take off a day of work to do it and use PTO time. And then between the class and the application and the fingerprinting, it cost me roughly around $500. And not everybody can afford that. And, if it wasn't for my hubby, I probably wouldn't have been able to afford it either. But he knew that I was uncomfortable with how many wolves we had been seeing on camera. And not to mention, we have a mountain lion not too far south of us, just spotted in the last week or so. But I just kind of wanted to share with you a little bit about my story and what people were saying on social media in regards to the law. I don't want to sit here and break laws. I just want to make it so that way other people can protect themselves and not be put in the same situation that I was put in.
Thank you, Lois. I admire your courage. I just encourage anybody, when you do get a firearm to protect yourself and something like that, that you don't relax your vigilance, thinking that because you're carrying, you're going to be safer, just for that protection.
No.
And to remind everybody that,
No, I agree.
yeah, to remind everybody that Article 1, Section 6 of the Michigan Constitution states that very plainly, every person has a right to keep and bear arms for the defense of himself and the state. So your defense is in the Constitution itself. So it's paramount that we recognize your safety, but also your vigilance would still be required. We have questions?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Lois. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now we have wishing to speak supporting the bill, Brett Jensack, representing himself.
Just wanted to say thank you so much for having me. It's a great honor to be here, truly. Great honor. I'll start out by telling a little bit about myself. From Escanaba, Delta County, Michigan. Yep, Delta County, right on Little Beatty Knock, that small bay. 35 years old. I started bow hunting in '97. I'm a veteran in the game already at 35 for squirrels, small game. I was the type of kid, I'd be out in my grandpa's 20 acres, sitting in the rain, trying to shoot squirrels. I think I got one with my bow, but just kind of give it a little background, kind of what kind of guy I was. I started bow hunting for whitetail in 2002. My family's hunted since the 50s. They've been bow hunting since the 80s. So we've watched the progression of the UP over the decades at what happened. I actually had my first encounter with wolves in 2004. I was 14. I had 3 of them walk in on my tree stand in Daggett, Michigan, public land. I thought it was 3 deer coming in, and 3 just majestic storybook movie type scene. And I was actually petrified. I just stood there. I didn't even know what to do. I thought they were deer, and it's a cool experience. I'm not against wolves at all. But I kind of yelled at them, and they looked around, and they looked at me, and they didn't really care, and they just kind of ran off. That was the experience. Nothing crazy happened. But I was 14 years old at the time. I have a profound love for the outdoors. I was always taught to leave the forest better than you found it. I scout year-round. I'm in the woods year-round. Mostly Delta, Menominee, Dickinson, and Iron County are the primary counties that I'm in. I'm also the zoning administrator for my township. So I talk to a lot of, zoning is a regulation of land use. I talk to a lot of property owners. I've been on hundreds of properties across the UP throughout the last 25 years. So I'll say some kind of cool stories. I hope you find them interesting. These pictures I'm sharing with you, these are all my personal pictures. These aren't from the internet. This one on the bottom, that's Iron County wolf. That's right behind my in-laws' house. The top ones, that's a Menominee County public land wolf I got last February. But yeah, I'll tell you a couple encounters that we had. This is Iron River, 2023 May. I was doing a scouting session, just looking for wildlife, looking for game trails, and I got surrounded by a pack with my yellow lab. She's 7 years old now. She would have been 4 at the time. Thereafter, luckily, she stays close to me. She doesn't run far. They were after her. They're about maybe 75 yards around. I don't know. There were maybe 3 or 4 of them. On this particular day, I kind of thought, I was with my father-in-law, I kind of thought we were getting close to a wolf's den because we found I kid you not, probably 60 piles of wolf scat. I found 5 deer carcasses that had been killed over the winter, and we were kind of like, oh, this is kind of crazy. And 5-10 minutes later, we got surrounded. So we were there. My wife shot a 10-pointer, October 23, Iron County again, and she walks back to the house, and we watched 2 mature wolves walk through the field with their noses to the ground, smelling her scent trail, and they went right to where that deer was. You'll get a kick out of this one. So my mother-in-law, they had their family dog, this is probably 5-6 years ago, out in their yard. So to give some perspective, it's a 500-acre private farm, small cattle farm. They got chickens, they got turkeys, and 5 wolves in their backyard in the day surrounded their family dog, and my mother-in-law ran out there, started snarling like a bear, scared 4 of them off. One of them had a stand down with her, and eventually it fled, but she did all this, no weapon, no nothing, just to save her dog. And I think it kind of exemplifies just kind of how brazen they get, and it's kind of destroying people's way of life. They had 40 domestic turkeys, just meat birds. Most of them were killed by wolves. The coop is about 75 yards away from the house. He gets a new batch. My father-in-law gets a new batch of chickens probably every spring. He gets about 40. They don't last very long. I'm not saying it's all wolves, but they definitely there's a bobcat, obviously, that are sneaking in there. And but the wolves are getting them, too. There's wolf scat lined across the electric fence for the cows pasture. I've been stalked out of the woods many times. I had coyotes watch me field dress a deer 2 years ago in the dark. That was pretty terrifying, honestly. Couple other, these are Iron County wolves. You can see, I think you can see 5 or 6 in that picture. Again, my personal trail cams. This is their backfield. This is right where their house is. I mean, they're totally brazen. And we're not shooting them. We're not doing anything illegal. But that's what happens when they're not managed. Spoke to a guy from Ishpeming last night. He had 2 dogs killed 2 years ago. Jordan and Justin Farmer, pretty famous story in the UP. They've had 3 dogs killed in the last 3 years. They actually walked up on their dog, getting its guts eaten out. The wolves, one had the butt end, one had the head, and they ripped it right apart. That's what we're dealing with. They're targeting kids. They follow hunters. St. Germain, Wisconsin, last October, a teenager shot a wolf in the face at 5 yards. I don't know if you guys seen that story. It's documented with Wisconsin DNR. And look, I just want to be clear. I have no problem with wolves. I think they should be on the landscape. My message is just proper conservation.
And Mr. Jancek, Chair,
Yes, sir.
I just want to make clear that we're here about the protection of the hunter out in the woods and not the wolf management. I just want to keep on topic for the...
So I got my CPL 4 years ago because of the predator issue. Frankly, I'm pretty scared to go out in the woods at night. It takes a lot of extra nerve these days. I'm gonna do it anyway. I mean, it's just who I am, what I love to do. My wife's pretty scared of going on her own property, which is kind of a sad thing. I still think the United States has the best conservation model, so there's a ton of hope. But I guess my manage is just managing predators properly, and currently we're not doing that. I believe in outdoor recreation, hunting, fishing, kayaking, bird watching, however people want to enjoy that. But when you have a large amount of predators, frankly, it's pretty scary. The UP is no joke right now. I've watched myself and others, we've watched the progression of the last 30 years, and it's game numbers are really down, rabbits, deer, all of it. So I was actually talking to my dad this summer, and I was telling him, Dad, you can carry a handgun when you bow hunt. He was like, no, you can't, Brett. And I was like, we live in an open carry state. And I just found out about a month or two again, he's right. So you do need the CPL so I can open carry in our state, but if I have my hand on my bow, I can't. I guess it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But it's a dangerous place. Some other cool, there's a coyote at the bottom right. It's a cool bear picture. Got one climbing the tree, mom and cubs. And these are, so these pictures, what I do, I just go way out in the woods and I just put these trail cams up and I just leave them for months. So that's how I'm getting these pictures. I just leave them and put them on game trails, just see what I can find. And yeah, I guess in conclusion, I think in the UP it's probably a 90-10 issue on just that there's something should be done on the predator, and people want to see wildlife, and a lot of properties are being sold. Businesses are hurting. There's a lot less traffic in the fall. So.
Right. We had separate testimony on stuff like this. We're talking today about being able to carry to defend yourself against the predators, not the management of the predator.
I think it's important to be able to carry for bow hunters. A bow or a crossbow is very limited in self-defense. You only get one shot, and you have to really aim it. And it's not a great self-defense tool. A handgun would be much more, I think, applicable for self-defense. And I think that's all I got to say. It's personal testimony, and
Yeah,
hope you guys
it was
enjoyed
quite
some
clear.
hope you guys enjoyed some of the stories at least.
Yeah,
Kinda
appreciate
cool
it.
stuff.
Yeah, nothing like having the real life scenarios. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, got a question from Vice Chair McFall.
Oh, no, I was pointing
Oh,
down there. Sorry.
oh, somebody else. Oh, not Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Rep. Fall. Who knows the history of how we got to a place where bow hunters can't carry a sidearm?
Well, I don't know, because I thought you could up until 2 months ago.
Right? If I didn't look up the law, I would have
I thought-
assumed
I
it could
thought
also.
you
It's just
could.
common sense.
We've always been there where if you're in the woods with a firearm, you have to have a hunting license. It has to be the season. But the CPL has always been there. As a matter of fact, that's the reason I got my CPL initially, was because I didn't want to be in violation just because it started raining on me. You know,
Because it started
I'm on my-
raining on you?
Yeah, if it started raining on me, I put my coat on. Now I wasn't. All of a sudden,
Oh, I understand.
I was concealed.
Yeah, I personally got mine just a few years ago, just because there's a lot of predators where we're at.
Okay. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you guys so much.
Wishing to speak, supporting the bill. Lance, is it Devoit? Devote. Close. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me here. First of all, I apologize for my attire. I feel very underdressed. I had never attended at one of these before, so I didn't know what to expect. My apologies. I do own a suit. Also, I just heard about this yesterday.
You're
so
just
I
lucky some of us up here aren't like that.
And I just heard about this, so I haven't had time to go back to the organizations that I belong to, and that in other cases I would represent to get to find out for sure where we stand on policy. But I feel I'm in pretty safe ground to guess that the Michigan gun owners, of which I am a trustee, I'm on their board of trustees, is absolutely in favor of this bill. I'm a member of Michigan Open Carry. I'm sure they're in favor of this bill. And as a lifelong bow hunter and vice president of Michigan Bow Hunters, I think I have a pretty good feel for that as well. And it's my unqualified opinion that most bow hunters feel that they should be able to avail themselves of their rights under both the Michigan and federal constitution when they've got a bow in their hands in the woods, properly licensed and not otherwise prohibited. I'm really gratified at some of the questions that have been asked about this. Many of these questions mirrored my own feelings about this. As I say, I'm 70 years old. I've been living and hunting in Michigan my entire life. I didn't find out about this prohibition until somebody explained it to me years ago, and before that, I wouldn't even have known I was breaking the law. I don't think most Michigan hunters would know that they're breaking the law. There's a lot of people in our state who wish to carry in the woods but don't have a CPL, and that is their right. Please keep that in mind. It sounds like most of you, or if not all of you, understand that. It is their right, unless they're specifically prohibited for some reason, to carry openly. And I guess somebody just mentioned picking up a bow shouldn't negate that right. Pretty much so all you have to say is, any questions? Comments, complaints? All right.
Nope. Thanks for your,
Thanks for the opportunity to speak. Appreciate
yeah,
it.
thanks for your interest, yep. Not wishing to speak supporting the bill, we have Justin Tomei from the MUCC. Not wishing to speak with no position right now is Chris Summerek from the DNR. That takes care of our testimony today on 4855. We're now going to move on to House Bill 4937, sponsored by Rep. Fairbairn, which allows for a backup shooter and with a bear hunting license. Representative Fairbairn will also be joined by Keith Schaefer, President of the Michigan Bear Hunter Association, and Mike Thorman, the Legislative Chair for Michigan Hunting Dog Federation and Michigan Bear Hunters Association. And Representative Fairbairn, just so you know, since Mike's up there, I'm going to put my timer on.
All right, fair enough, Mr. Chair. It's your committee. Good afternoon. We're really excited about this bill. I appreciate the opportunity to provide some testimony on this. This is House Bill 4937, and it is the bear hunting backup shooter bill. Current law does not allow for a backup shooter at a bear tree to safely dispatch a bear that has been legally shot by a licensed hunter. Nor does it allow for a backup shooter to go with a licensed hunter while tracking a bear that has been legally shot at a bait site to safely dispatch the animal if needed. While most hunters deliver a clean shot, this does not mean the animal is killed instantly. Even with excellent shot placement, it may take a bear 1 or 2 minutes to expire. When this happens at a tree, many things could go wrong very quickly, and although other hunters are usually far away from the tree when a hunter is harvesting the animal, they may still be in the bear's path after it has been shot. And a large, agitated bear can move quickly and unpredictably even after being wounded. Having a backup shooter legally shoot the animal if it has not yet expired would add a significant level of safety and prevent it from running headlong into an unsuspecting hunter or dog handler. My legislation would allow a Michigan resident, such as a hunting guide or dog handler, who holds a valid base license to purchase a bear backup hunting license for an additional $50, and for an out-of-state hunter, they'd be able to do so for a separate $250 charge. This license could be used to accompany a licensed bear hunter and to shoot a bear that has already been legally shot but has not yet expired. This backup license would be valid for the length of the hunting season, be valid in all bear hunting units, and be used to back up an unlimited number of hunters who would attach their own tag to the harvested animal. to provide more details and information on this and some perspective from bear hunters, I'd like to introduce Keith Schaefer, president of the Michigan Bear Hunters, and then Mike Thorman, legislative chair of the Michigan Hunting Dog Federation and the Michigan Bear Hunters, to provide a little more insight for the committee. Keith, if you'd like to start.
Thanks for your time here today. The whole basis of this is to provide a level of safety for the hunters that are in the field. When we look at a bear that's been in a tree and being harvested out of a tree, if we can put ourselves into a swamp or a cedar swamp or heavily forest or foliated forest, a lot of times the hunter can be 40, 50 yards away from the tree, so they're not at the base of the tree. And so when they harvest the animal and the animal comes out of the tree, there still are people, closer or around. And we have people at a tree from all ages, from infants to 80 years old. A lot of handicapped people come in, elderly, stuff like that. So we do have a lot of people around. But what this does is it allows the group to have an individual at the base of the tree to make sure that when the bear comes down, that it's there. It doesn't get up and run away. There have been instances of the past where bears have come out of the tree, and in that last few seconds, they have gone, into the people that are there. We had that happen this year in one instance, and a gentleman he was obeying the law, so he wasn't there at the bottom of the tree, and had to, went to the hospital for a little bit. So this would also help with hunting over bait. There are some different organizations that take people out, whether they're handicapped, disabled. And we had an instance last year where an individual was in a wheelchair, completely immobile, and he had shot a bear, and they had to go in. It was a very, very long track to the bear, but then once they got there, the hunter wasn't able to go with them. So once they got there, they just had to sit there and wait for the bear to expire, because legally they could not take care of that situation. So there's a few different things, even when hunting over a bait, that it would be nice to have a backup shooter system where they could go in on a track, and whether it's with a young kid or anything, that a person is there that if something did happen, that they could execute a backup shooter tag to where they could end everything right there so no one gets hurt.
I want to make sure you understand that we're not trying to gain an edge, shoot a bear when you shouldn't. But bears are tough critters. And it isn't like TV where John Wayne shoots somebody and they're hit the ground, they're dead. You can shoot them right through the heart and they'll live for quite a while. Some of you are deer hunters. You make the perfect shot, and that deer can go a long way. Well, the bears do. And this is strictly a matter of safety. But bears, they'll come out of the tree not being shot and bite you. I've seen that happen with my own eyes. And you don't have a gun there. That's just you're taking your own chances. But this just makes common sense to allow us to do this. Most other states do. In Alaska, if you're with a guided hunt in Alaska, and he'll tell you, as soon as you shoot, I'm shooting. And we're not looking for that here. It clearly says if the bear is still alive when it hits the ground. Safety. And that's it. We're not trying to pull a fast one here at all.
We're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. So when you said a designated person at the bottom of the tree, you used the term designated person, would this be a guide? How that person is designated to have the firearm?
Well, that would be purchasing the guide license. So normally in hound groups, we have one or two people that would do this. It's not anyone. And so that person would be the one that's at the bottom of the tree. This isn't just for guiding, but it's for any different group. But the group would designate whoever does that in their group.
I think we have to understand that the Farmer Brothers that was mentioned about their dogs getting killed by wolves, they took a gentleman 2 years ago. He couldn't walk at all. They carried him in piggyback to the tree on one of those hunts, Make-A-Wish kind of hunt deal, and piggybacked him out, you know. Now, cases like that, and we have more and more youth involved. Now, you don't want a 13-year-old girl to shoot a bear and have it go off into the swamp because the bears aren't going to be out in the field. They're going to be in something you can't see 10 feet in front of you without somebody backing her up. It's just not common sense. So that's it.
And with this, I'd like to say as well that this isn't like adding another permit. This isn't a free permit that, you know, it has to be only exercised with a hunter who already has a permit, and that person would just be backing that individual up.
That gives me a little more detail. Representative Preston.
Thank you, Chair. Is the incident that you were talking about up in my neck of the woods with the gentleman that got mauled?
It is.
All right.
Yep.
So that gentleman was with the group. Bear got wounded, fell down, charged the individual, mauled the hell out of him. He shot it, went to the hospital. Conservation officers showed up, interrogated him, and cited him with a misdemeanor on the spot. I've shot 2 bear. These things, they're dangerous, especially when they're wounded. This is a common sense bill that's going to protect lives, actually, because there's no more dangerous time than when that bear is wounded, and it needs to be dispatched, quite honestly, by anybody in the group as quickly as possible, because you're in a dangerous situation. The fact that the gentleman here got cited after being attacked, receiving stitches, is just appalling. I know the gentleman that was with them, good friend, sad situation. It's just ridiculous the discretion wasn't used on the part of the department in this case. So
I'd just like to clarify some things. Because a bear's up a tree, that don't mean the shooter's standing at the bottom of the tree. They like white pines. They'll go way up high, and you can't get a clear shot. You might be from that wall to that wall back where you've got a hole to shoot through to shoot that bear.
Right.
So you aren't even at the bottom of the tree when he comes down in a lot of cases. And you don't know that unless you live that life and you're involved in it. And I just want to say one more thing. We're 100% behind that archery being able to carry a pistol.
thank you.
Minority Vice Chair McFall.
Thank you, Chair. A question about, like, how many bear licenses are issued each year? Like, do we have an idea of how many people might even take advantage of this?
Yes, there's around, I think they put out about 8,000 licenses to harvest around 18 to 2,000 bears a year.
Okay.
So there's quite a few.
But there's a whole lot of people that apply for them. It's on a lottery system.
Right.
Where I live, it takes you at least 11 years to get one.
This year, they had a record where I believe Cody had said, our biologist had said that I think for this year, they had around 72,000 applicants.
Okay. So, in a way, this will be an additional revenue stream also for the DNR.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you, Representative Parker.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Fairbairn. Wishing to speak opposing the bill is Bob Jones. Mr. Jones? Press the red button right in front of you. Red button. There you go.
Can you hear me all right? As you said, my name is Bob Jones. I'm currently president of the Michigan Bowhunters Association. It's a statewide organization here in Michigan. And unless you're not familiar with the current situation with the bear farm, we have a bear farm group, a users group that meets annually with the Department of Natural Resources, and they discuss different regulations, whether it be deer or bear. I happen to personally be on the deer advisory team and was a member of the DMI last year, the Deer Management Initiative, when it took place. And in addition to being president of Michigan Bow Hunters, I also belong to the Michigan Longbow Association. I have permission to speak on their behalf. Michigan Traditional Bow Hunters, Professional Bow Hunter Society of the United States, and the Pope and Young Club. So I'm pretty active. I've been a lifelong archer, started shooting when I was about 4 years old, shot competitive forever. And there's a big difference between my bow hunting experience in the woods, being a bait hunter, than the houndsman, right? I've shot several bears. My usual setup when I'm bear hunting is I'm 12 to 15 yards away, sitting on the ground, not even in a tree stand, and I have a lot of success. And I hunt with traditional archery equipment, recurves and longbows. So, and I could show you guys some pictures of a 500-pound black bear that was shot up in New Brunswick, 12 yards away, and I can't carry any kind of sidearm to protect myself up when I'm up there hunting in Canada, and I've never been worried about it. What separates the hound hunters, and I fully support hound hunting. This is in no way a means to be against hound hunters at all. But there's a difference in the method that we hunt and our approach. When I go out there to a bear stand, I'm all by myself. It's a lone time. It's a solo hunt. I don't have a spectacle of people around watching. It's not an event. When the hound hunters get a bear treed, it's more of an event. They go in with a lot of people. A lot of these situations of putting people in danger can be resolved by simply not making an event and making it a more personal experience for the hunter himself. And I have a question with a couple of things that were said about the time it takes for an animal to expire. Whatever you're hunting, whether it's with a bow or with a gun, you don't take a shot unless you have a clean shot at known vitals. And to say that a bear can live a long, long time, any animal can live a long, long time with a marginal shot. But 7 seconds is what a bear has or a white-tailed deer has with a double lung vital shot. 7 seconds is the longest they're going to be up. And I've shot numerous bears that died within 30 yards. Some of the things that they talked about in favor of this, I would question, why are there spectators in between the hunter and the tree? All those people should be in the back behind the shooter, not out in front of. Not so much they're shooting over them. I understand they're not in front of for the bullet, but that in and of itself puts a lot more safety in it. And the bow hunters in the Bear Forum group opposed this extra shooter idea. I don't think it's necessary. I think that due diligence and proper safety to the people that are viewing this certainly would alleviate most of the problems. And I will say, out of the bear tags that are issued, there's approximately, and maybe Mike could help me out with this number, but I believe that the percentage right now, out of those tags that are issued, is at 10 or 12% that actually hound hunt, and the rest of them are bait hunters going in on individual hunts. They're not, so it's not as big of a number as what we talk about. It's not 6,000 hunters that are all out there hound hunting. It's certainly a smaller number than that. That's all I got.
I appreciate that. My only concern with what you said was, you've been bow hunting or bow shooting since you're 4 and competitive. A lot of our weekend sportsmen aren't going to get that much practice, so they're not going to be as proficient. That's my only comment. That we're not going to. There's no license to require them to have 400 hours of target practice before they can get a license. So that's my only concern, is just to keep it open for the general public. Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Prestin. Oh,
Thank you, Chair.
we might have some more questions for you, Bob. Might have some questions for you.
Thank you for your testimony. You described your experience, but when you're talking about vulnerable populations, the elderly, the handicapped that are all taking part in this, that's kind of what encompasses the need for more people in the hunting group than you would traditionally see. You know, and on the targeting and dispatching of the animal, you know, when you're talking about a bow especially, and a large bone animal like a bear, rib deflection, I mean, you can be the best shot in the world, and you're still not gonna get around, you know, a second, third, fourth rib deflection. That's gonna go right or left into the gut, and that animal is gonna continue on, and you're gonna have to continue to try to dispatch that animal. It's not as clear cut, even if you are the best shot. High power rifle adds a different dimension to that. But at the end of the day, yeah, you can have the best shot and you can still have an incredibly dangerous animal at the bottom of the tree or at your bait pile. I even know a good friend of mine that shot one in the head, thought it was dead. He only knocked it out and woke up when he got down there to skin it, or to gut it out. So, I mean, accidents do happen, and I think having a legal path for someone to have a secondary shooting position, because you can't just buy a bear tag unless you were issued a permit for it. So this just would allow somebody to have a secondary tag as a safety backup. And with an apex predator like this, I think that's, I guess I don't understand the point of disagreement when it's just a safety-oriented issue. Because this is regarding a bear that's already had a tag pulled for it, and a hunter that's trying to take it. That's all.
Well, I would just agree to disagree, and I would say though, you mentioned about those handicapped or disabled elderly. Myself, along with some other MBH members, we're involved with an organization, Wheeling Team 457. It's out of Lapeer, where we take some disabled hunters and stuff out into the woods, and I could certainly see some allowances for those that have disabilities that can't get back if the bear isn't disposed of. I certainly don't think that it should be against the law for a handler or a guide at that point in time to dispatch a bear that they can't get the hunter to. I think there's a big difference between that though and at the site of. In most cases, I would say that that's the truth.
Okay, I'm going to be calling on Representative Fairbairn next. I just want to make caution to everybody. We have Fairbairn and another speaker wishing to ask a question, and we have another bill to take up and a presentation. So if you can keep your comments short.
Yeah, I think that, and I appreciate your testimony. The gist of this bill and why we're doing it, it gives them the option to take this measure. It's not forcing a bow hunter to buy this. If you're alone in a tree stand or on the ground hunting over bait, we're not forcing you to buy this. If you want to hunt, and frankly, those are unsafe conditions, I wouldn't go out bear hunting on my own. I don't think that'd be pretty dangerous. But I get where you're coming from. But even if you have a clean shot, and not 100% of your shots are going to be clean, I think this just creates a layer of safety that isn't there right now, that our bear hunters are asking for.
Representative Wooden.
Thank you, Chair. Just very quickly, you've mentioned, thank you for your testimony. You've mentioned repeatedly you just don't think this legislation is necessary. Is an underlying concern that allowing this assistance will inconvenience or reduce bear population for people like yourself who hunt alone, or that it might increase the number of individuals who will use rifles for hunting bear with a second shooter at the expense of bow hunters hunting bear without one?
No, it's certainly not going to change the harvest of the bear population. It's one tag, so it's certainly not going to change or have fewer bears on the landscape because they have a second shooter that's harvesting a bear that's been wounded. I just don't think that it's necessary. I wouldn't want somebody to finish a bear that I shot, and by Michigan law, as you guys know, that's why we're discussing this today. You're not allowed to shoot an animal that you don't have a harvest tag for, and that's what you guys are changing here and are talking about changing. But bears aren't the big mean animal that you think they are. They are when they're cornered. But they're more afraid of you than you are of them in most cases, and The instances are very few where bears are a danger.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jones. Continuing on the Representative Fairbairn show. We now have testimony on House Bill 4822. This would mandate live streaming of the Natural Resource Commission. Representative Fairbairn, take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right, this is a pretty common sense bill. I'll keep it short. It's going to be sweet. I appreciate the opportunity to come before you for a second time today, this time in support of House Bill 4822, which would require the Natural Resource Commission's meetings to be live streamed to the public. And before I get started, I do want to mention that I have a request of a substitute to correct an error in the language of the bill, which currently indicates live video conference, but this will change it to live video stream. And I'll provide that to the chair before the next meeting on this. So with your permission, I'll speak to the proposed substitute in there. I have introduced this bill in the interest of governmental transparency and access to the public, requiring the Michigan Natural Resource Commission to live stream commission meetings and to make recordings of those meetings available in a searchable archive on its website. The NRC has exclusive authority to regulate hunting, trapping, and sports fishing in Michigan, and the discussions they hold and the votes that they take have a direct impact on some of Michigan's most cherished traditions, not to mention an $11 billion sector of the state's annual economy and some 170,000 jobs it supports. A public body with this much power and influence needs to be accessible to the residents of our great state. In addition to providing for a live stream broadcast of meetings and a searchable database, a notice of the meeting's agenda and link would need to be available by the department not less than 24 hours in advance. Just as legislative committee meetings such as this one and hundreds of local government meetings throughout the state are announced and live streamed in public. I could go on about the common sense nature of this legislation and the importance of such access and transparency, but I don't think it's necessary, as this type of openness has been a topic of discussion for all levels of government for years, and I believe it's time to bring it to the Natural Resource Commission. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
So changing it to live streaming is in line with other committee, like this committee being live streamed, correct?
Yep.
I want to interrupt for 1 second just so I don't forget this. On the last bill, 4937, Chris Emmerich with the DNR not wishing to speak neutral.
Very good.
To continue on now, do we have any? Representative Fall.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your second testimony. Is this just live streaming? They're not expected to take any public comment or anything else. It's just live streaming,
Exactly.
correct?
Just
Okay.
the ability to watch these, because you look at the Natural Resource Commission, they go all over the state of Michigan and have their meetings, and if they're up in Houghton County and you want to get there and you're down here in Lansing, that'd be a long drive to get to that meeting, and there's no other way to watch it unless, of course, MUCC does a live stream on Facebook, but it's very poor quality and you can't hear it very well. So this would make it a lot more accessible to a lot of people.
All right. Thank you.
I would mention I had a constituent at my office hours did travel to Houghton because she wanted to speak. So it was worthwhile for her to do that. But yes, just to monitor and see what's going on, it's a long way just to sit there and listen.
Yep.
Representative Weiss.
Thank you. I know there are other commissions in the state. Are there similar requirements for other commissions, or is it just every commission is kind of doing its own thing?
Yeah, from my understanding, every commission's doing their own thing on this. This is an important one, I believe, just because of the amount of money and the power that the NRC has to regulate Michigan hunting and fishing. So I think it's important we have this access. We've got a lot of people who hunt and fish, and they deal with a lot of other issues too that a lot of people want to listen to. So this is an important one.
Are there any concerns from that were when you were talking to the commission about this in terms of just implementation? Like, are they going to need any kind of resources, technology-wise, to be able to do this that they don't already have access to?
Well, I hope they have a computer and I hope they have a video camera. So I think they've got the resources to do it. We'll work with the DNR on this, but I believe this should be very cut and dry.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for keeping it short. I want to read in a few cards. Not wishing to speak, neutral on the bill. Again, Chris Semernick with the DNR. Not wishing to speak, supporting the bill, Keith Schaefer from Michigan Bear Hunters. Not wishing to speak, supporting the bill, Mike Thorman from Michigan Hunting Dog Federation. And not wishing to speak, supporting the bill, Justin Tomei from the MUCC. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for. So it's my pleasure to bring back to the committee Amy McMillian from Metroparks, Chief Executive Officer. When I was a Genesee County Commissioner, my first term, Amy was the Parks Commissioner or Parks Director for 11,000 acres in Genesee County, and really enjoyed that. And glad to have her here to expand even a larger project and how much it covers Southeast Michigan. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. I wanted to introduce Michaela Vasquez from my department, who is going to run the laptop, because otherwise I would most certainly mess that up for you today. If you're from southeastern Michigan, I hope you're familiar with the Metroparks. The Metroparks serve the 5 counties of southeastern Michigan: Wayne, Washtenaw, Livingston, Macomb, and Oakland counties. Until Saturday, we had 13 parks and 25,000 acres in those 5 counties. As of Saturday, we have a 14th Metro Park, which is in the city of Detroit. It is part of the Ralph Wilson Jr. Centennial Park, and it was opened to great fanfare on Saturday in the city. It is the Huron-Clinton Metroparks Water Garden that has recently joined our system, and we are so excited by it. As I said before, the Metroparks are a regional park system. We have 14 parks, 25,000 acres throughout the southeastern Michigan area. We have 400 miles of trails in the Metroparks. Those are nature trails, those are biking trails, those are walking trails that connect people to nature through our parks. In the average year, we have about 7.3 million visitors that come through our parks. We feel very strongly that it's our job to connect people to nature, every person who lives in our region, for their entire lives. And we work really hard every day to do that throughout the work that we do in our parks. Regional parks are kind of a different thing. Everybody here certainly is familiar with the state parks. You're familiar with your city parks, your county parks. But regional parks were created to serve a bigger area. And the Metro Parks probably serves the biggest area of any regional park system. But in the chair's own backyard, the Genesee County Parks, for example, have a regional component that serves both Genesee County and Lapeer County. So all of our systems look differently throughout the entire state. This is an issue that is near and dear to my heart, and I'm sure that it is true of every single person who sits on this committee and of all of your constituents. The fact that public parks are such an important part of the experience of living in Michigan, regardless of where you live, whether it is a community park, whether it is a big natural area. Public parks it's part of the experience of being a Michigander, right? It is part of our memories. Public parks are our third space. We get up in the morning and we go to work, or we go to school and we come home. But one of the places that we look forward to when we're done with work, when we're at the weekends, when we're with our families, is to be in our parks together, whether it's to be with our friends and our families, or to find a very a spot that is just ours, and our family memories are connected to public parks. They're the places where we've learned to throw a ball or to fish or to stay on a beach, to camp overnight. Parks are also part of the economy of the communities in which they are located. And at the Metroparks, we are no exception. The people who come to the Metroparks every year, those 7.3 million people who visit our parks, are buying gas. They're staying at local hotels sometimes and campgrounds. They're buying their bikes and their cameras and the things that they use to experience the parks. And the more time that people spend in public parks, including the Metroparks, the healthier they are. And that contributes to all of our bottom lines, particularly in these days when it is so expensive to access health care. The mental and physical health benefits of parks are well known, and I think even if you haven't read a study on the subject, you just know by your own experience how much better you feel the moment that you step out into nature, or that you are sitting beside a river or sitting on the beach. Most public park systems are big employers in their communities as well, and the Metroparks are no exception to that. At the height of our season, we have a little over 1,000 employees that work for the Metroparks. One of my first jobs was working in my home community. I ran a playground program in Midland, Michigan. That's where I'm from, and my family still lives there. And my first job with the Metroparks about 100 years ago was as a college intern. And we employ everyone from police to lifeguards. And because we are an authority, we are our own system. So we have accountants and we have park maintenance people. In many ways, the Metroparks operate as cities in and of themselves. Because we have 25,000 acres and 14 parks, we contribute a lot, not just to our own infrastructure, but to the infrastructure of the communities that are around us. In particular, stormwater management is a critical function at the Metroparks. We also operate roads and trails and dams that are part of, that have an influence beyond our own borders. At the Metroparks, we take fiscal responsibility and fiscal management and funding as a key component of the work that we do. Yep, it's great to be outdoors. It's wonderful to have all of the fun that you have in a park, but really taking the business of parks seriously is a critical element of making certain that there are parks every single day, every single year for generations to come. And we are really proud of the fact that we've been a great partner with the state. Thank you for, as you work on issues with things like the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund, the Land and Water Conservation Fund. Last year, 2 years ago, we received an enhancement grant from the state that is allowing us to restore the North Marina at Lake St. Clair Metro Park, or some of you might know better as Metro Beach. And so we use these partnerships, we use these grants to enhance and to elevate the money that the public invests in the Metroparks through the millage that funds about half of our operations. To give you some sense of how this works, we wanted to share with you the revenue that we generate from many of our core activities, particularly golf. We have 7 regulation courses throughout the Metroparks, and particularly since the pandemic, that is our third highest source of funding. The only way we could put more people on our golf courses at the Metroparks is if the days were longer, because golf has made such an incredible resurgence throughout the entire country, including in southeastern Michigan. And then you can look at some of the other things that we do throughout the year, including renting our pavilions and renting boats and paddle boards and all of the things that some people have of their own and some people need to have access to when they come to our parks. So this weekend, we were able to highlight one of our biggest partnerships, and that was with the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy. But we have partnerships of all shapes and sizes at the Metroparks. No system, no community can do all of the work that needs to be done on their own. So we have partners in small groups, like the people of Palmer Park. We are partners with the Y in our Everyone in the Pool program, with local schools, with county park systems and city park systems, to make certain that we are providing service to absolutely everyone who lives throughout our region. Outdoor education is a key component of the work that we do at the Metroparks. We have a department called our interpretive department that is staffed by outdoor educators. They are teachers, and they go into schools throughout our regions. They host field trips from schools throughout the entire region. They impact tens of thousands of kids every single year. They get them excited about being outdoors. They get them to understand how they connect to the outdoors. They get them ready to be part of careers in science and resource management. And they train those kids to teach their friends and their families and their parents. Kids are one of the most powerful constituent groups we have in connecting adults to the outdoors, because when they come home from school and they are excited about something they've learned, they share it with their parents and with their family members. At the Metroparks, a big part of the work that we do is hosting events from throughout the region. We do a ton of fundraiser events. We host cross-country meets from throughout the region, but we also have some of our own programs that require people to register. Just last year, there were 641 of those programs, and over 12,000 people attended just that small group of programs. One of the things I don't think we talk about often, or we visualize, we talk about golf and we talk about being outdoors, but one of the sports that is becoming more and more a big part of our business and has such an impact on local economies is disc golf. And it is a really great way of engaging people of all ages and abilities, and it brings people from quite literally around the world to the Metroparks, either in person or watching some of the tournaments that we host on ESPN. I had no idea until a few years ago that disc golf was worthy of an ESPN time slot, but let me tell you, if you're a disc golfer, you know that is the case. And one of the things we're super excited to have announced this year is the Metroparks at Kensington Metropark are going to host the World Disc Golf Championship. We are working with the sports commissions in the same way. Well, okay, it's a smaller way than the NFL draft was, but still an incredible amount of time and attention goes into this because it brings people into our communities who are going to eat in our restaurants, shop in our sporting goods stores, stay overnight in our hotels. And this would not be possible without these public courses that are available through the Metroparks and other systems. This year, we were also really excited with our partners in Oakland County and Wayne County Parks to co-host the Special Parks District Forum, where we brought people from all over the United States. We stayed in the city of Detroit at the Courtyard Marriott. We bought out the place for the district conference, and people came from all over the United States to see what we are doing here in the state of Michigan. And every single one of those people that I talked to was excited about what's happening in Michigan and took something back from us to initiate in their home parks and their systems. And so we're really proud to be leading at a national level here in the state of Michigan. We are getting ready to enter the 4th year of our Everyone in the Pool program, which is also a program through which we partner with public and private partners throughout our 5 counties, school systems, the Ys, cities and counties, to teach kids in our communities to swim. In southeastern Michigan, we have a dismal rate of kids who know how to swim. About 70% of our kids don't know how to swim, which makes it impossible for them to enjoy the water. And if there is one thing that is important to be able to do as a resident of the state of Michigan, it is to be able to enjoy the water safely. And so this is a program that in our last year, we had over 3,000 individual kids learn how to swim for free in that program. Because one of the things that is a biggest obstacle to learning how to swim is the cost of learning how to swim. Years ago, when I was the parks director in the city of Ypsilanti, I think we charged about $5 a kid for a week-long session of swim lessons. It costs over $100 a child for the average swim lesson program right now. And so this is really critical work for us, and just part of connecting kids to the outdoors. And then selfishly, I got to tell you, we're also hoping to grow our own lifeguards throughout this program, throughout the state of Michigan, and nationally, we have a lifeguard shortage. And so when we start by engaging kids early, we are perpetuating our ability to keep our pools and our lakefronts safe. And these are just some of the statistics that are part of our program. Once a child is part of a swim lesson program, they learn really quickly. And the way that it changes families is incredible. There is never a single session of swim lessons where we do not hear from one of those families who has lost a family member or a neighbor or somebody in their community that they know to drowning. Each year in the Metroparks, we have experienced drowning, and our goal is every summer to make certain that that never happens to another family again. We are really proud of the work that we do in the Metroparks in managing our natural resources. We are really intentional about this work. We have our own natural resources department, and we focus in on the things that are important to keep our natural environments safe and healthy for the flora and the fauna throughout our entire state. And we have a really dedicated team that does that. And we take our knowledge on the road and work with other communities to help them. One of the things that we did a couple of years ago that we were super proud of and continues today is we partnered with the city of Detroit in doing a controlled burn program at Rouge Park, which is the biggest park in the city. And now that group is able to do those programs on their own year after year after year. At the Metroparks, we are working very hard to put our words where our action is. And we do things like expanding our no-mow zones. We work really hard to educate people throughout the region who are interested in learning how to be great stewards of the environment by managing stormwater in their own backyard, by teaching their kids, and also even by doing things like managing our own fleets throughout the Metroparks. At the Metroparks, when we talk about setting a goal, we always have a plan that goes with that goal so that we can measure our progress season after season, year after year. It is one of the ways that we hold ourselves accountable to both our board, ourselves, and to our community. And as you can see by this slide, just in our first year in some of our goals in this area, we've accomplished over 70% of those goals within 1 year as a demonstration of our commitment. If you want to stay connected to the Metroparks and our work, there are all kinds of ways to do that. We have a great website that's really interactive. And just a plug for our pop-up shop. If you want some Metroparks swag, you have until Friday to do that. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and all of our other channels. And before I thank you today for the time to share with you a little bit about the Metroparks, I hope I've inspired you to spend some time in your own community parks and also think about the ways that in the work that you do on this committee, in the work that you do in your hometowns, how you can advocate for public parks. To have a great public park system requires a tremendous amount of attention and intention and investment. And this group is in a great position. We've to think about that really strategically and work with local professionals and look at how we can address these issues on a statewide basis so that every community has a healthy and thriving park system, and that these resources that attract so many residents to our state, that are the reason why people who live here generation after generation. I am a 4th generation Michigander, and my nieces are 5th generation Michiganders. They're the reasons kids in college who are making decisions on where they want to stay want to be near a park system with a great disc golf course. When we ask our communities what's important to them, it is why they answer time after time they want more trail systems. And so in all of the great and important work that you do, I hope that you consider how you can address public parks, public park funding, and strategy throughout the entire state. And we would be happy to be part of that discussion. So thank you.
And thank you for refreshing my memory that Genesee County Parks was regional into Lapeer with some property on Holloway Reservoir and the Columbiaville softball complex, I think it is.
Yes. So in Genesee County I was the county parks director for just shy of 18 years. 2 regional parks within the county. One is the Holloway Regional Park System, which includes Wolverine Campground and the Hogbacks and that entire system that reaches into Lapeer County. And then the Mott Lake. Mott Lake is part of that too, right?
Trails goes into there.
Yeah. It's a critical piece of the economy in Genesee County, and
on your Metroparks, it's just funny to me. I'm sure Representative Weiss and McFall living down in the area, Representative Scott. When you mentioned Palmer Park, it's not actually.
No,
it's a city, or is it a park also?
It's a city. Palmer Park is a neighborhood in the city, and we bring programs to the park.
Figures down there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, I've golfed it in Palmer Park, and I was just curious how that was part of the Metroparks.
It's not a Metro Park, but it is part of the partnerships that we do. So our interpretive program shows up at neighborhood picnics and all kinds of other programs in different parks. And a lot of the way that in Genesee County, they partner with the city of Flint and other local park systems. Parks people are parks people, right? We're there for everybody.
Like that,
yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. We
Thank
have
you.
to run to session. The timing was
Thank
perfect.
you for your patience.
Want to excuse absent members, so Representative Bonek moves to excuse absent members. Seeing no further business come before the committee, we're adjourned.